Have you ever wondered what lurks in the darkest corners of the cosmos, waiting to devour anything that crosses its path?
These invisible cosmic predators possess such unimaginable power that they effortlessly crush celestial bodies and warp the fundamental tapestry of reality itself.
Imagine for a moment that our fragile blue world drifted too close to the inescapable edge of one of these gravitational monsters. What breathtaking, terrifying sights would fill our skies just before everything we know vanished forever? Let us embark on a mind-bending journey into the ultimate unknown to uncover the truth. Picture a cosmic whirlpool with an appetite so voracious that escaping its current becomes the only rule of survival.
In these bizarre pockets of the cosmos, the gravitational pull becomes incredibly intense, trapping absolutely everything, including the fastest thing in existence: a single ray of light. It acts as the universe's ultimate roach motel, where things enter, but absolutely nothing exits. Far from being identical dark voids, these gravitational beasts possess distinct personalities defined by their specific weight, rotation speed, and electrical energy. They also span a staggering range of scales, functioning much like weight classes in a heavy-duty boxing match. Astronomers typically categorize these fascinating anomalies into four main tiers of magnitude. At the foundation of this cosmic hierarchy lie the stellar mass variants. These form in a spectacular collapse when a dying, colossal sun exhausts its nuclear fuel and crushes inward under its own weight. Think of them as the fierce, compact predators of deep space. Though relatively small in diameter, they pack a devastating gravitational punch, eagerly stripping gas from wandering neighbors. Even the most lightweight among them carries the weight of 3 of our suns packed into the size of a single city. Stepping up the ladder brings us to the mysterious middleweight contenders known as intermediate mass anomalies. These elusive structures hold far too much bulk to have formed from an isolated dying star. Astrophysicists suspect they are actually the result of violent celestial mergers, where multiple smaller singularities collide and fuse together over eons. While they lack the power to anchor a whole galaxy, their gravitational reach easily shreds and consumes any stellar neighbor foolish enough to wander close. That is certainly an impressive feat for the middle child of the void. Yet, if we are talking about truly ruling an entire galactic neighborhood, we must look to the true titans of the deep. Enter the supermassive beasts, incomprehensibly immense entities that weigh millions or even billions of times more than our home star. These gargantuan anchors sit at the heart of nearly every cosmic neighborhood, orchestrating the very evolution and architecture of the spiral arms swirling around them. Beyond even these giants exist the legendary ultra-massive singularities. The sheer scale of these apex predators defies all human comprehension and shatters the boundaries of conventional physics. Though staggeringly uncommon, these primordial terrors possess enough gravitational dominance to swallow surrounding star systems whole, acting like cosmic vacuum cleaners on an unimaginable scale. This begs the ultimate question: what exactly unfolds if you drift too close to the precipice of one of these dark wonders? Let us visualize your final perspective as you plunge toward the notorious boundary known as the event horizon. This invisible threshold acts as the ultimate line in the sand, representing a cosmic one-way door where the gravity becomes entirely inescapable. Once you approach this perimeter, the fundamental laws of reality begin to warp into something completely surreal. Take the flow of time, which stretches out drastically, though this bizarre illusion is only visible to an observer floating safely far away. From your perspective plunging inward, the ticking of your watch would seem perfectly normal. However, your distant companion looking at you would witness your descent grinding to a haunting crawl. To their eyes, your image would gradually fade to red and hover there motionless, forever trapped in a frozen cinematic frame. Peering ahead on your doomed journey, the visual landscape shatters into a chaotic optical illusion. The overwhelming mass twists the paths of ancient starlight passing by, wrapping the entire sky into a dizzying, distorted sphere of swirling colors. A brilliant, glowing crown might emerge before you, a trapped orbit of captured light rays endlessly circling the dark abyss. You could also witness blinding pillars of supercharged plasma erupting violently from the magnetic poles of the rotating singularity. Surprisingly, one can comfortably orbit the outer edges of this phenomenon without noticing any immediate danger. The fatal mistake occurs the exact instant you pierce the event horizon. severing your connection to the outside universe permanently. At that juncture, your fate is sealed, and the surrounding starlight collapses into an impenetrable shroud of absolute darkness. Meanwhile, the safe observer tracking your journey would simply watch your faint afterimage dissolve into nothingness. Inside the dark vortex, your physical form would be drawn out into a long, thin shape, much like a cosmic strand of pasta. This severe distortion happens because the gravitational field increases so rapidly that it pulls the bottom of your body drastically faster than the top. Scientists actually have a spectacularly weird name for this. Astrophysicists actually gave this mind-bending stretching process a highly technical name: spaghettification. We will save the cosmic flat noodle physics for an entirely different episode, though. Plunging deep into the cosmic abyss, you are now hurtling straight toward the singularity. At the very heart of this void lies a spot of absolute infinite density, compressing every single atom into an impossibly tiny speck. Picture shoving a fully grown elephant inside a microscopic wooden matchbox. The laws of physics force all that physical material into the absolute tightest space conceivable. So, that is essentially the end of the road for any brave space traveler. Does that terrifying thought send shivers down your spine? Well, brace yourself, because these dark cosmic monsters are shockingly common. A supermassive behemoth lurks at the core of nearly every star system, and our home, the Milky Way, is no exception. Are we ultimately doomed to be swallowed whole by the dark abyss? And if that day comes, what would that apocalyptic scenario actually look like? Let us explore that exact thought experiment. Picture a rogue singularity drifting right into our stellar neighborhood. Initially, it would register as nothing more than a microscopic shadow against the starry backdrop. Yet, as the invisible giant creeps closer, its immense gravitational grip would throw our entire solar system into absolute chaos. Worlds would radically stray from their ancient orbits, while rocky debris gets mercilessly hurled out into the cold void, and wandering icy bodies would detonate into countless shimmering fragments. However, much like anticipating the main course at a terribly slow-paced diner, the ultimate catastrophe is still waiting in the wings. Yes, I am definitely keeping that analogy. Eventually, the dark beast sets its sights on Earth. The initial phase involves our protective layer of air being rapidly siphoned off into the vacuum, unleashing apocalyptic global hurricanes. Simultaneously, the seas would swell into monumental tsunamis as the immense gravitational grip literally warps the physical structure of water. Just envision our vast oceans being physically pulled upward into space like giant sheets of blue taffy. Deep beneath our feet, churning liquid metal generates a vital magnetic shield around our globe. Unfortunately, the overwhelming tidal forces from the cosmic intruder would completely wreck that delicate subterranean flow, forcing our invisible planetary barrier to collapse and twist beyond repair. This internal turmoil would spark world-ending seismic tremors and endless magma eruptions as the very crust of our globe rips wide open. Every single trace of human civilization and advanced engineering would face instant annihilation. Towering skyscrapers, vital overpasses, and vast highways would shatter into absolute dust. Let us pause this doomsday simulation for a second. Absolutely terrifying, right? But take a deep breath. Humanity would never actually witness this cinematic destruction, since the lethal invisible effects of the singularity would wipe us out far sooner. Let us rewind the apocalyptic timeline for just a moment. Our planet's invisible shield would completely vanish long before the physical ground began cracking beneath our feet. Without that barrier, our entire atmospheric climate would immediately descend into chaotic turmoil, while leaving the surface completely defenseless against lethal doses of cosmic energy. Intense bursts of radioactive energy and searing thermal waves would instantly sterilize the globe, erasing every last trace of our beautiful green biosphere. There is cold comfort in shared destruction, though. Our lonely blue marble would hardly be the only victim in this scenario, which honestly makes the situation far more grim. As the gravity well swallows our stellar neighborhood, absolutely nothing escapes its hunger. The very first consequence would be the utter destabilization of natural paths for every orbiting space rock and icy wanderer. Nearby worlds would physically warp, elongating like elastic bands under the pressure, transforming solid terrain into rippling liquid plains. even our mighty central star would fall victim, getting violently stretched out of shape like cosmic Play-Doh. Picturing this stellar apocalypse is undoubtedly spine-chilling. However, you can safely exhale now because this cinematic doomsday scenario is pure fiction. Time to look at the optimistic reality. Your microscopic chances of hitting the ultimate jackpot payout vastly outshine the likelihood of humanity ever encountering a rogue gravitational void. The closest known stellar ghost to our cosmic backyard is formally designated as Gaia BH1. Uncovered by brilliant astronomers back in the year 2022, this dormant beast resides right within our own. Ever wonder what is lurking in our cosmic backyard? Deep inside the Milky Way, roughly 1,600 light-years from our home planet, lies a sleeping giant. Known as Gaia BH1, this massive anomaly tips the cosmic scales at a staggering 10 times the weight of our own sun. By definition, that qualifies it as a stellar mass black hole, though intrinsically, it is just a standard dark void in the abyss. Yet, finding it gave astronomers a spectacular window into how these terrifying celestial vacuums actually operate. Relax though. Even our absolute nearest dark neighbor is sitting well over a millennia of light travel away from us. These behemoths drift through space at a snail's pace, meaning they will absolutely never wander close enough to menace our solar neighborhood. Wait a second, you might be thinking. What about that monstrous sinkhole anchored right at the heart of our very own galaxy? Is it destined to act like a cosmic vacuum cleaner and eventually swallow up every single star around us? It is a perfectly valid question, even if you did not panic while asking it. But you can breathe a sigh of relief. The definitive answer is absolutely not. That central beast goes by the name of Sagittarius A star. You probably recognize it from that fuzzy, glowing orange donut picture that broke the internet several years back. While it undeniably possesses mind-boggling mass and an incredibly fierce gravitational grip, kind of like the intense attachment between a pair of smitten middle schoolers, in the grand cosmic scale, it is practically a tiny speck. Its gravitational tether only captures matter lingering immediately adjacent to it, while the grand structures of our galaxy are far too vast and orbit with far too much velocity to ever be dragged down into its dark abyss. Still, they remain absolutely captivating puzzles for astrophysicists who are relentlessly working to decode the secrets hidden beyond their event horizons. Ultimately, while they pose zero physical threat to humanity, they serve as a humbling testament to the raw, majestic force of the cosmos. Though right now, I am shifting my focus to the undeniable gravitational pull of a good chocolate bar, wrapping up our cosmic journey for the day. If this little trip through the stars fed your brain, go ahead and smash that like button. Pass the knowledge on to your buddies. And if you are craving more universal mysteries, tap on the videos on your screen. Keep looking up and stay curious. Now, imagine a storm so vast it swallows a world. That is exactly what happens on Mars when the dust kicks up. These violent tempests tear across the lower half of the red planet, peaking with terrifying intensity during the Martian summer months. They can rapidly swell to blanket massive chunks of the globe, much like the colossal event we witnessed back in January 2022. During that chaotic period, a swirling cloud of debris engulfed a region roughly double the size of the entire United States. Makes you wonder, did a monstrous weather event like this swallow up one of our lost Martian rovers? The environment over there is undeniably brutal, presenting a barren, wind-scoured wasteland, where the typical daily climate hovers around a freezing -81 degrees Fahrenheit. At the frozen caps during the darkest months, the thermometer plummets to a bone-chilling -220 degrees. To survive that kind of icy hellscape, any robotic explorer must be built like an absolute tank, with specialized thermal shielding. Despite the odds, scientists were fully confident that their plucky Beagle 2 spacecraft could conquer the treacherous journey. Back on June 3, 2003, brilliant engineers prepped an ambitious mechanical explorer for its cosmic launch, a highly condensed, ultra-lightweight probe bearing the name Beagle 2. Its ultimate goal? To safely reach the Martian dirt and hunt down the holy grail of space exploration, extraterrestrial biology. The grand arrival was scheduled for a spectacular Christmas Day landing on December 25th. Yet, mission control was met with dead air, prompting frantic attempts to ping the silent vessel. Eventually, the crushing reality set in. Their precious spacecraft had gone completely dark and was unreachable. Many experts assumed the atmospheric entry was simply too aggressive, resulting in a catastrophic impact on the alien dirt. However, diagnostic logs showed zero mechanical faults prior to entry, leading some scientists to propose a different hypothesis. Perhaps the little probe got fatally wrapped up in its own deployment chute and slammed into the rocky crust. Whatever the case, Beagle 2 remained a ghost in the solar system until a major breakthrough happened in 2015. That is when orbital cameras from NASA snapped high-resolution imagery, revealing the resting place of the long-lost machine. Astonishingly, the photos did not show a crumpled pile of twisted metal. The hardware appeared to be remarkably well preserved and structurally sound. The abandoned probe was sitting silently in the dust, its power-generating wings peacefully fanned out across the Martian terrain. Have you ever wondered what happens when a spacecraft vanishes into the alien void, only to be found 3 miles off its target, half awake and frozen in time? That is the tragic tale of the Beagle 2 lander. It actually survived its fiery descent to the red dust, yet a jammed communications dish doomed it to eternal silence. Without that crucial signal, Mission Control was left completely blind, utterly powerless to guide their robotic explorer across the rugged terrain. The true cause of this mechanical failure remains a cosmic ghost story. But speaking of eerie Martian mysteries, what if the planet was actually staring right back at us? Way back in the 1970s, a NASA probe beamed home a photograph of the rusted crust that absolutely captivated the public imagination. Lurking in the northern shadows of that grainy snapshot was a massive, eerie geological structure that looked exactly like a giant human head protruding from the ground. Stare closely at the terrain, and your brain instantly tricks you into seeing hollowed eyes, a prominent bridge, and tightly shut lips, all framed by what looks like an ancient stone-carved headdress. Naturally, conspiracy theorists went wild, claiming it was an extraterrestrial sphinx left behind by a long-lost alien empire. But that optical illusion is just one of many bizarre cosmic shapes scattered across this wasteland. Take the grinning crater, for instance, a massive depression stamped right into the dirt that looks exactly like a giant galactic smiley face. Then there is the weird gallery of boulders that our brains recognize as breakfast foods, long-necked dinosaurs, and even petrified fish. The cosmos even baked a giant waffle-patterned landmass right into the crust, spanning well over 1.2 miles across. This bizarre geological grid sits squarely within an ancient ocean of frozen magma. Scientists suspect that deep underground, surging currents of liquid fire actually warped the bedrock upward into this breakfast-like mold. And if you think that is wild, grab your telescope, because orbiters have captured what looks like glowing, sapphire-colored sand ripples. Swept into endless waves by brutal gales, these majestic dark streaks form a sprawling ocean of texture circling the freezing northern crown of the world, stretching across an area easily the size of Texas. We are so conditioned to picture our neighboring realm as an endless expanse of crimson dust, which makes these brilliant azure hills feel like pure magic. But space is full of visual trickery. They are not actually blue at all. If you slapped on a spacesuit and stood there today, your own eyes would see the exact same drab, rust-colored dirt that blankets the entire globe. That vibrant sapphire hue is just a clever image processing trick. Astrophysicists map different wavelengths into vivid neon shades to make invisible thermal properties pop out visually. In this specific case, mapping out the dramatic drops in temperature and elevation. Speaking of dramatic elevation, imagine a colossal trench so unbelievably massive it makes our own Grand Canyon look like a tiny ditch. Welcome to Valles Marineris, an apocalyptic network of chasms stretching a mind-blowing 2,500 miles long. That is a staggering 10 times the length of our planet's most famous natural wonder. To put that sheer scale into perspective, if you dropped this monstrous gorge onto North America, it would slice a deep scar all the way from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Because this dead world lacks the grinding tectonic plates we have here at home, the exact birth of this mega rift remains a hotly debated puzzle among astronomers. One leading hypothesis paints a picture of extreme violence, suggesting a cluster of colossal volcanoes towering on the opposite hemisphere, including the legendary Olympus Mons, actually warped the entire planetary shell. This unimaginably heavy weight pressed down so hard that the rock snapped on the flip side of the globe, ripping the outer crust wide open and simultaneously squeezing out a subterranean ocean of pressurized water that had been trapped deep underground. Those catastrophic floods exploded upward, aggressively gouging out the sheer walls of the trench. The tectonic shockwave also mobilized ancient ice rivers, grinding away the stone to carve even more chaotic tributaries straight through the belly of this super canyon. Now, you might be surprised to learn that fire mountains on this arid globe might have been spitting hot lava as recently as 50,000 years ago, even though their absolute most explosive and violent days peaked a staggering 2 to 3 billion years deep in the past. Today, however, those fiery beasts are completely fast asleep, leaving behind a quiet, frozen world. Over eons, the intense primordial heat trapped deep inside its core during the violent birth of the solar system simply bled out into the freezing vacuum of deep space. Consequently, the rocky skin of the globe has hardened into a shell so incredibly dense that whatever magma remains simply cannot punch its way out anymore. But in its chaotic youth, rivers of fire forged these titanic peaks. And those very same blazing mountains were likely the primary engines responsible for thawing out deep frozen reservoirs, unleashing biblical tidal waves that completely transformed the barren landscape. These days, the alien sky above is incredibly fragile, wrapped in a wispy, barely there blanket of carbon dioxide that possesses less than 1% of the air pressure we enjoy. Yet rewind the cosmic clock 4 billion years, and this was a much warmer, water-rich oasis drifting through space. Back then, it boasted a much thicker, heavier atmospheric shield, fully capable of firing up a heavy greenhouse effect to perfectly lock in the sun's life-giving heat. Ever wondered if the red planet was once a twin to our own world? Long ago, it actually possessed a massive invisible shield, just like ours. Picture a giant ocean of liquid iron swirling deep inside its center, generating that colossal magnetic force field. However, while our world stayed fiery inside, the Martian heart eventually froze solid, shutting off its protective bubble completely. Stripped of its armor, this desolate world was left completely defenseless against the sun's relentless fury, catching a non-stop blizzard of high-energy radiation blasting outward from our star. Over roughly 200 million years, those stellar gusts literally blew the planet's thick, breathable blanket away into the cosmic void. That devastating atmospheric loss is exactly why those colossal, planet-wide dirt tornadoes whip up with such unbelievable ferocity today. Yet, the red planet hides a gripping past beneath its barren surface. If we examine its frozen ice caps, we find strong clues that it survived several massive deep freezes, mirroring the climate cycles of our own globe. Scientists recently analyzed satellite photos, revealing roughly 60,000 individual boulders scattered across the alien terrain. These stones vary wildly in mass and lay completely scattered, almost like giant dice thrown across the landscape. This chaotic pattern strongly suggests they were pushed there by creeping ice sheets from entirely different epochs. And those frosty glaciers are keeping their own ancient secrets. Imagine the primordial atmosphere, ancient minerals, or perhaps even microscopic alien life frozen fast within those icy vaults. So, what if you could fire up a chronosphere and travel back exactly 4 billion years to that rusty sphere? You would likely witness absolutely catastrophic torrents of rushing water carving up the landscape. You might even catch a glimpse of primitive biology thriving among the ancient riverbeds. A colossal space rock crashing down to create the famous Gale Basin might have been the exact spark that unleashed that apocalyptic deluge. The sheer kinetic energy from that cosmic strike caused planetary temperatures to skyrocket to unimaginable extremes. Suddenly, all the colossal glaciers covering the ancient Martian crust flashed into liquid practically overnight. This resulting tsunami was so unimaginably huge that it permanently scarred and reshaped the entire crust. It etched gigantic rolling wave patterns straight into the solid bedrock, leaving a permanent fossil of the surge. Bringing things back to moisture, modern telescopes have actually caught plumes of humidity leaking straight out into the vacuum of space. Beyond that, Astrophysicists have uncovered tantalizing clues pointing to actual liquid dripping along the crater walls even today. You can observe deep, shadowy lines tracing down the dust slopes, widening during the warmer months and retreating when the frosty season hits. The whole globe is also crisscrossed with hundreds of empty canyons and ancient stream networks.
It paints a clear picture of a world where massive rivers once freely coursed.
Today, the bulk of that ancient ocean is likely frozen solid at the poles or buried deep beneath the dusty crust.
Every new discovery practically screams that this desolate orb was once a perfect cradle for biology.
Interestingly enough, it remains the only celestial body we know of currently inhabited entirely by mechanical beings. Exactly 5 automated explorers currently represent the entire demographic of the Red Planet. We call these brave little machines Perseverance, Opportunity, Spirit, Sojourner, and Curiosity. Their mission is to snap high-definition panoramas, taste the alien dirt, sniff the thin atmosphere, and just maybe uncover the holy grail of astronomy: actual extraterrestrial organisms. Perhaps in the near future, human astronauts will finally stand beside them in the dust. And hey, before we move on, if you actually manage to invent a temporal displacement engine to visit that primordial watery era exactly 4 billion years ago, I would absolutely pay for our dinner just to hear your incredible tales from the trip. That wraps up this cosmic journey. If this adventure sparked your imagination, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and send it to your fellow stargazers. Craving another trip across the cosmos? Simply tap the next clip on your screen and keep exploring the endless wonders of the universe with us. Let us shift our gaze outward. A slight planetary wobble is totally standard across the solar system. Our own globe leans at a neat 23-degree slant. This exact tilt is the magical engine behind our changing climates. When your specific hemisphere nods toward our central star, you get to enjoy balmy summer days. Naturally, the reverse holds true as well. Tipping backward plunges you into the frosty depths of winter. Yet the ice giant Uranus takes this slant to absolute extremes. It rolls around on a staggering 98-degree axis, radically warping its entire climate cycle. A single phase of weather out there drags on for an agonizing 21 years. Just keep that mind-bending fact in mind the next time you groan about a long February chill. Have you ever considered how ridiculously tiny our daily commutes are compared to the cosmic scale? Where we normally just track time in minutes, hours, or maybe days? A quick stroll over to your buddy's place might eat up 10 minutes of your afternoon, and rolling down to that local coffee shop takes roughly 15 minutes. But the universe operates on a completely unimaginable playing field. The sheer emptiness out there forces us to ditch our earthly clocks and calculate voyages using years, or more accurately, light years. So just picture yourself trying to hike all the way to the lunar surface. You would literally be trekking for 9 straight years just across those 239,000 miles. Or imagine buckling up for a road trip to our closest stellar neighbor, Proxima Centauri. If you locked your cruise control at a steady 70 miles per hour and never touched the brakes, your GPS would tell you you'd arrive in roughly 356 billion hours, which translates to a mind-numbing 40.5 million years. Honestly, halfway through that 20 million year mark, you would definitely be experiencing some severe buyer's remorse about ever leaving the driveway. Shifting our focus closer to home, the Red Planet boasts an absolute monster of a geological scar known as Valles Marineris, reigning as the most colossal canyon network humanity has ever laid eyes on. Stretching an unbelievable 2,500 miles across the Martian dust, it completely dwarfs our Grand Canyon by a factor of 5. Astronomers initially caught a glimpse of this massive trench during the 1970s, deducing that an adjacent cluster of towering volcanoes, lurking just beyond the canyon's edge, likely tore the planet's crust apart to create this majestic abyss. While we are still hunting for a world forged entirely out of precious gems, there are actually alien atmospheres right now pouring down actual diamonds. Plunge into the swirling skies of Jupiter and Saturn, the absolute heavyweights of our celestial neighborhood, where violent electrical tempests zap atmospheric methane, instantly cooking it down into pure carbon soot. As these dark flakes plummet through crushing gravity, they harden into graphite chunks before ultimately compressing into sparkling diamonds, measuring roughly 0.4 inches across. But before you get too excited and start plotting an interplanetary heist to harvest these jewels, you should know they have a brutal expiration date. Sinking deeper into the crushing, superheated cores of these gas giants, they completely liquefy. Speaking of looking up, have you ever questioned why, if you step outside at exactly 9 o'clock at night for 2 consecutive nights, the starry backdrop looks perfectly glued in place, yet our silvery neighbor seems to wander off script? It all comes down to a cosmic dance dictated by 2 main factors, starting with your actual viewing schedule. Say you step out onto your porch at 8 o'clock tonight, but delay your skywatching session until 11 o'clock the following evening. You are obviously going to catch that glowing orb in a completely altered position. Even the distant constellations will have shifted their layout under those circumstances. All because our home world is constantly pirouetting. Completing 1 full rotation on its axis eats up exactly 24 hours, meaning that, from where we stand on the ground, the entire celestial ceiling above us appears to be sweeping past us once every single 24-hour cycle. This is the exact same optical illusion that makes our local stars sweep across the sky, igniting dawn and dragging in the dusk. Yet, if you perfectly timed your backyard observations at the very same hour over consecutive nights, you would typically find yourself waiting around an additional half hour or more for that glowing rock to hit the exact same celestial checkpoint it occupied yesterday. The distant suns of our galaxy are essentially locked in place, and while they appear to be drifting across the blackness, it is merely the illusion caused by our spinning blue marble. Meanwhile, our lunar companion is genuinely cruising through space, physically orbiting us, while constantly cycling through its iconic visual transformations, like vanishing entirely into the shadows during its initial dark phase. Then it swings around to reveal its brilliantly illuminated face directly toward us, creating that breathtaking full glow. Navigating this entire orbital loop around our gravitational pull takes roughly 1 month to wrap up. However, if you are still dreaming about becoming a billionaire jewel thief, you might want to chart a course for a wildly different world, suspended 40 million light-years across the abyss. Astronomers initially tagged this bizarre realm as a scaled-up version of our home. In the astronomical community, that label just refers to rocky worlds that boast a far more massive waistline than our own. This specific chunk of real estate, for instance, spans twice the width of the globe we live on. It hugs its host stars so intimately that it completes a full blistering lap in fewer than 18 hours, translating to a planetary calendar that would blur past your eyes. Because it is practically kissing that stellar furnace, the atmospheric heat violently spikes to an apocalyptic 4,900 degrees Fahrenheit. Factoring in how tightly packed this world is, astrophysicists suspect its deep interior consists entirely of compressed carbon, meaning a heart of solid diamond and graphite. Shifting our gaze deep into the cosmos, well over a decade back, researchers stumbled upon a colossal mass of floating mist located a staggering 12 billion light-years away from Earth. To this day, it stands as the most massive cosmic reservoir ever observed. It happens to be the most ancient, too, forming back when creation itself was a mere toddler, at 1.6 billion years of age. Compare that to the 13.8 billion years we are sitting at today. Honestly, if a guy could have just thrown a few bucks into an investment portfolio back then, the compound interest would have made me terrifyingly rich by now. Sadly, humanity was not exactly in the picture. Getting back to reality, this vapor field is so ridiculously huge that it carries 140 trillion times the volume of every earthly ocean combined. This swirling ocean actually acts as an all-you-can-eat buffet for a massive spatial void, providing an endless supply of gases like carbon monoxide that could easily fuel the beast until it swells to 6 times its current terrifying size. Let us bring things a little closer to home. A typical day down here hovers around 57 degrees Fahrenheit, while the absolute maximum ever recorded hit 134 degrees. Seems unbearably warm, right? Try visiting Venus, where the mercury skyrockets to 900 degrees, easily claiming the title of the most scorching world in our celestial neighborhood. Sure, it will not exactly turn solid steel into a puddle. The atmosphere would have to crank up by another 2,500 degrees to pull off that trick. However, it will effortlessly liquefy lead, making it a completely hostile nightmare for anything resembling biological life. The crazy part is that Mercury is actually closer to the solar fire. Yet Venus holds the heat crown thanks to an incredibly dense layer of toxic air that locks in solar radiation. Picture wrapping yourself tightly in a heavy winter quilt while standing outside in late July. Here on terra firma, we naturally picture volcanic mountains erupting with glowing liquid rock. That is simply the standard operating procedure for our world. But out in the deep freeze of the cosmos, fissures blast out methane, ammonia, and liquid water, all of which instantly turn to solid ice the second they hit the vacuum, drifting down in a mesmerizing display that scientists refer to as volcanic snow. Welcome to the bizarre reality of cryovolcanism, a phenomenon dominating Jovian satellites like Europa and Io, not to mention Pluto and Saturnian giants like Titan. The activity reaches its absolute peak on Io, a moon scarred by hundreds of volatile geysers that orbiting probes have caught blasting away on live feeds. Those space telescopes watched as columns of crystallized mist launched roughly 250 miles into the dark sky. Speaking of which, did you hear about the newly spotted Jovian satellite that is supposedly perfect for agriculture? They decided to call it EIEIO. Moving past the awful jokes, have you ever wondered what actually becomes of a light beam once it vanishes into a dark star? To understand this, remember that light travels in packets called photons, and every singularity has a point of no return, known as the event horizon. The moment anything, even an ultra-fast photon, slips past that invisible barrier, escaping becomes physically impossible. Yet this does not necessarily guarantee the object is instantly wiped out. Instead, the sheer gravitational force aggressively drags the particles straight down to the core, a terrifying location where unimaginable amounts of matter are crushed into a microscopic pinpoint. The truth is, modern physics completely breaks down when trying to explain what happens to illumination under those punishing forces. It remains an enduring cosmic puzzle. Does the universe completely erase that radiant energy? Or does it survive somehow? Shifting focus to the ringed giant, Saturn currently boasts 82 known lunar companions, with 53 fully verified, alongside a backlog of 29 potential candidates awaiting final verification before they earn a proper title. Among this crowded family, the absolute most fascinating member has to be Iapetus, a massive 914-mile sphere of mystery. This peculiar orb is literally two-faced, featuring one hemisphere that shines exactly 20 times brighter than its pitch-black twin. Observations revealed that the glowing portion consists entirely of pure frost, while the shadowy half remains a bizarre enigma. A popular hypothesis suggests the blackened terrain is stained by dusty debris drifting over from a neighboring satellite known as Phoebe. Meanwhile, competing researchers argue the discoloration might just be caused by... Have you ever wondered what happens to all that trapped solar energy? Because our lunar neighbor turns at such a sluggish pace, those shadowed regions just soak up the warmth, baking them into an even deeper shade of black. But let us zoom out for a second and ask a truly mind-bending question. What is the absolute maximum size a black hole can reach? While mathematics does not give us a strict ceiling, cosmic detectives suspect that the most colossal cosmic beasts out there, known as ultramassive black holes, lurking deep inside specific star clusters, max out at around 10 billion times the weight of our sun. Science has actually revealed a fascinating natural braking system preventing these monsters from getting any bulkier, because if they got any larger, their sheer gravitational chaos would totally shatter the swirling rings of gas and dust they eat. Essentially, they would destroy their own dinner plates, completely cutting off their only food supply. Speaking of visual wonders, imagine painting the entire cosmos. You might guess it is a brilliant sapphire or a glowing cyan. Honestly, top-tier scientists made that exact assumption after attempting to blend the light signatures, gathered from over 200,000 different star systems, spanning a massive 2 billion light-years from Earth, only to discover later that the ultimate shade of existence is basically a plain, creamy tan. How did the geniuses mess that up? A simple glitch in their computer program threw off the entire calculation. Seriously, a coding error warped how the program translated all that vast cosmic radiation into a visual hue for human retinas. Once they fixed the math, the group officially crowned this ultimate universal shade as Cosmic Latte. Sounds like something you would order iced with oat milk at your local cafe, right? Now, let us look at our local star, which is completely ordinary in scale, yet so gigantic that you could pack 1,300,000 copies of our globe inside it. Furthermore, it outweighs our home world by a staggering factor of 333,000. Space is not completely silent either. Brilliant minds at the space agency managed to capture electromagnetic frequencies emitted from planetary weather systems and flip them into audio tracks we can actually listen to. Through this data, we learned that the distant ice giant crashes like roaring surf, the largest gas giant rumbles like a deep submarine dive, and the ringed planet emits an eerie, chilling drone straight out of a terrifying thriller film. Meanwhile, here on our blue marble, it plays smooth saxophone tunes. Okay, I completely made that last part up. While the solar crust boils with unimaginable fury, an everyday thunderbolt crackling through our skies actually burns 5 times fiercer. Our world absorbs a blistering barrage of 100 lightning strikes every single second, stacking up to 8 million explosive blasts daily, and roughly 3 billion violent hits annually. Talk about a highly charged atmosphere. Floating back up to the lunar dust, stumbling across perfect boot tracks does not mean an alien astronaut is sneaking up behind you. Any impression carved into that pristine gray dirt will stick around for 1,000,000 years totally undisturbed, simply due to the absolute lack of any atmospheric blanket. Without so much as a whisper of a draft to sweep the dust away, those historic strides are locked in time forever. Moving into deep space, scientists stumbled upon the most massive expanse of absolute nothingness ever recorded. We are talking about an epic cosmic desert, stretching an unbelievable 1 billion light-years from edge to edge. This monumental discovery was actually a total fluke, sparked when an inquisitive researcher had some downtime and decided to poke around a mysterious, freezing zone out in the great beyond. They were investigating a strange blip on the universal heat map, commonly known as the CMB for short. It is essentially a faint radiation bath washing over our world from all angles to fill the entire cosmos. This ancient, ghostly illumination has been soaring through the void for almost 14 billion years, lingering as the ultimate echo of the universe's explosive birth. Now, imagine plummeting headfirst into a gravitational abyss, bracing yourself for immediate destruction. Hold on a second, though. Crossing that ultimate threshold does not automatically guarantee a brutal demise. Your trusty spacecraft might actually make it through intact, provided you steer into an exceptionally massive abyss. Diving into a miniature singularity is a fatal mistake because the point of no return is extremely tight, meaning the pull ramps up violently with every inch you drop. Picture reaching your arm straight out. The force